certainty in astrology. This is what astrology is that you cannot take away from yourself. These are certain aspects where, if you understand them, they deliver exactly what you want. They deliver certainty. Rising sign, ascendant, self. This is the first house. The first house, why is it certain? This is whatever sign is in your first house. So let's say it's Cancer. Let's say Cancer's in your first house, Cancer's in your ascendant. Yourself, you need to understand everything about Cancer to yourself, because it's your rising sign and it's your first house. It rules you, it dominates you, it's who you are. You need to understand that's about your appearance, that's about your image, that's about what you wear, that's about how you sound, that's about your body. All of these aspects are based on yourself. And if you do not know yourself, there is uncertainty in your life. That's why the ancients used to say, know thyself. Yeah? So whatever sign this is in, obviously whatever your rising sign is, this is what you have to focus on in terms of understanding you to the rise, to the sign. Yeah? Connect with it intrinsically. Become it. Be the Cancer, or be the Capricorn, or be the Sagittarius, or be the Aquarius, whatever sign is in your ascendant first house. Be that. Focus on that. Study that one sign so you understand intrinsically what you have to be. And then there's, on top of that, if there's planets in there, it gets even more complex. But let's keep it simple for now. And then you have your home. So we call this so this is the fourth house, yeah? This is the fourth house. And the fourth house is the house of home, okay? House of mother, the mother, upbringing, the roots, and ultimately, what we're all trying to find, based on our fourth house, is peace. It's where you find your peace. Let's say for example, and this is called IC, by the way, fourth house equals IC, which is Imum Coeli. Imum Coeli is Latin, all right? So, fourth house, home, mother, peace. Let's say, for example, your fourth house is Aries, okay? You only will find peace in yourself when you are doing or living or being in an environment that's Aries-like. Now, what's an environment, for example, that's Aries-like? That is a battle, a war, a fight, being completely independent and in control of your life, not being completely self-sufficient, yeah? Potentially being a business person, entrepreneur, a leader, somebody who takes charge, someone who, very active lifestyle, very active environment. That's where you find your peace. You're not a person who finds peace like a Pisces. If your fourth house is in Pisces, yeah, you find your peace in the spiritual world. You find your peace on a beach. You find your peace by yourself, doing nothing, chilling out, meditating, relaxing, imagining, fantasizing. That's where you find your peace. Yeah? And this has got connections with your mother, how your mother potentially treated you, and your home, how your home needs to be, which is connected to the peace and everything like that, because ultimately, home is where the heart is. And where our heart wants to be is where we are relaxed. So this is, again, certain. Yeah? Well, this is what I'm talking about, certainty in astrology. This is how you find certainty in your life. Yeah? This is what you're missing. This is when you're like, I just want this. Why can't I have this? Why is this not working? Why am I trying to do this and it's not happening? Because you don't understand your fourth house. You're not connecting to it. You're ignoring it, and you're trying to do what somebody else is doing. You're trying to follow somebody else. But what you have to understand is we have all been created individually. Individually, we've been created to be who we are supposed to be. And then when we start looking at other people and trying to be like them, and then we wonder why we don't have the inner peace. We wonder why. Understand your fourth house. It's very simple. And this is the most interesting one for me. I do have a stellium in the seventh house. So it's the descendant. So this is the rising of the sun, and then this is the descending of the sun. Why do they call it descendant? There's multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into it in this video. But the seventh house is also connected to your relationships. Yeah? Marriage, business partnerships, all of this is connected to your one-to-one connections with people. Now, the reason I feel like descendant is an appropriate word for this, because this is ascendant and this is descendant, because most of the time, in fact, majority, all relationships are your downfall. Your downfall is based on the relationships you get in and also the relationships you avoid. So you connect with someone on a one-to-one basis, you connect with someone on an intimate level, that could be your downfall, right? Your downfall is really truly connected to the person that you're with majority of the time. Why? Like they say, the 5 people you spend your most time with is going to be the 5 people that's going to influence you the most. So these one-to-one relationships that you have with not only your partner, but your close friends, business, etc., they are based on your downfall. So you have to be, so the certainty in astrology is with the 7th house is you have to be very connected to the sign that's in your 7th house. You have to be completely connected to that. And you have to have, I'm not saying necessarily you have to have, like, let's say, for example, your descendant is in, let's pick a sign, Taurus. I'm not saying that you have to have relationships with people who are Taurus, but what you do have to have is relationships with people who are consistent, people who are reliable, people who are stable, people who have Taurus traits. And that's going to be obviously Taurus. Taurus sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, stellium Taurus, second house stelliums, etc. Yeah? You have to connect with these people, relationship and one-to-one connections. These are the people that actually going to improve your life. And they're not going to be the downfall of your life. And this is why selecting the right partner, for me, and for everybody else, is the most important thing. A lot of people avoid relationships, but ultimately, we are human beings and we need connection. So we can't avoid it, even though we feel like we should. You can't do anything by yourself in life. That's like if you're watching me on a phone right now, that phone has been created by somebody. That phone has been designed by somebody. That phone has been built by somebody. That phone has been, the app that you're utilizing right now has been paid for and created by somebody that's not you. So therefore, right now, you have to say that you've relied on a multitude of people to even be listening to me. So don't ever think that you can't rely on people, because you're relying on people every second of the day. Choose the right connections, choose the right one-to-one connections, and then you have certainty in your life. And the last one is the midheaven, 10th house. 10th house, midheaven, is about career, expertise. Yeah, your expertise are based on your midheaven. What your God-given talent is based on your midheaven. What your career should be, how your career should be, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be like, if you're like Leo, if your midheaven's in Leo, doesn't mean you have to be a performer, a dancer, a actor, or actress, or a manager, a boss, whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be that. But what you have to do is you have to have those Leo characteristics in the role that you're in. And your expertise will be Leo based if your Leo is in the 10th house. Your expertise will be Sagittarius based if your Sagittarius is in the 10th house, i.e. teaching, learning, exploring, growing, spiritualism, religion, philosophy, morals, standards, ethics, law. So this is the key, okay? This is the key for you to actually have the career you want. And the midheaven is crucial. It's crucial. It's they're all as crucial as each other, but the certainty of it is that once you start to go in a career that's connected to your midheaven, these 3 naturally follow. Okay, these 3 naturally. Okay, the first house probably you need a little bit of work, but still, it's easier to understand yourself when you're in the career that you know is your expertise. Because if your 10th house is in Virgo, you know that the way you analyze and scrutinize, no one can do it like you. No one can assess details. No one understands details the way you understand details. And you need to be in an environment where you can utilize your specialty, your expertise in the details that you can see and utilize in whatever means possible. Okay, so go into that, because that we're going to give you the career, that potentially could give you the relationship, that can potentially can give you the peace, give you the freedom, and you can understand yourself because you're going to be challenged with your career. All careers are challenging. If you try to avoid this sector, you're going to avoid developing this, you're going to avoid maybe potentially obtaining this, and you're going to avoid growing and obtaining more relationships and one-to-one connections. So the midheaven for me is the most important. And you will certainly have the life you want when you connect to all four. There's no doubt about it. This is the certainty in astrology. You can look at any successful person in life, and you can see that they are operating. If you ask them, let's say they have a successful relationship, let's say they have a career they want, and let's say they have the home they want. Maybe they feel like they're not as confident as they could be, but most successful people have 3 out of 4 of these. It's very rare to have 4 out of 4. You'll see that it's all connected to these four points. You'll see that it'll be connected to these 4 points. Why? Because without connecting to them, it's not really possible to be successful. Some people, you can look at some charts and people naturally find it's more easier for them to be successful. I'll give you an example. If someone has Mars in the 10th house, yeah? Someone has Mars in the 10th house, most of the time, they're successful. Yeah? Mars in the midheaven. If Mars is in the same sign as the midheaven, success is easy. Why? Why is success easy for these? And this is just one example. There's multitudes of examples. Why? Because they're motivated. The same thing that motivates them, because Mars is your motivation, it's the same thing that they're expert in. So they're motivated and their expertise are in the same path. So they naturally gravitate towards that and do it without. For them, yes, they try and put effort, but it doesn't feel like it because it's just natural. And that's those who are lucky. There's many other lucky, I might do a video of lucky, placements that people thrive in. But what I can say is this is how you gain certainty in your life with astrology, with these 4 cardinal points that allow you to grow exponentially, not like small additions and not like, every 6 months. I'm talking about like in a year, your life will be different if you just connect to all 4. A year, 1 year. And you might say 1 year is too long. You're going to live, probably 80 plus years. 1 year is not long at all. It's nothing. By the way, and if you want to understand more of this, if you want to go deeper into your chart, if you want to understand yourself like this, or even more, expand to the point where you understand it all, go onto my TikTok page and click the link to my website, and you can have a one-to-one session with me, and we can basically focus on these things for you to actually grow exponentially in 1 year. Have a great day.